KindaSound radio. We're tuning in to change.
Good morning and welcome to the first astrology update for KindaSound. We're looking at the astrology for the week ahead from the 1st of December to the 7th. And how we're going to do this is by looking at the current planetary influences, looking at the big influences, seeing what's happening in the sky, and talking about it to see how we can best utilize the energies to thrive, and really sort of explore the heads up from the universe in terms of what we can be aware of, and be checking in with ourselves, how we're feeling, how we're doing, and how we want to navigate these energies. And then also each week I'll be bringing a topic. So this week we're going to start with the sun, which is probably the best place to start in thinking about astrology, both collectively and personally, because we probably all know our sun signs, and it's a really good place to start when thinking about the current energies as well. So each week I'll be here at 10 until 10:30, and we'll be replaying again the show the following day, this Saturday at 10, and then it will be made available as a podcast from the Tuesday following the show. So on that note, let's get started and get into it, because there's always absolutely loads of fascinating info with astrology. So let's get started. So the sun is a great place to start with when thinking about the current astrology energies as well as we're going to dive into it on a more personal level. So the sun in Sag, so Sagittarius energy, is big, expansive. With the sun in Sag, it really is the absolute key interpretation, I think, of Santa Claus energy. And we have this run up to the Christmas period, the Christmas holidays, and it's a real expansive time. It's a generous time. It's when we think about our loved ones and how we want to gift them, and how we want to, have this big expansive energy up until the 21st of December, when we go into the midwinter solstice, and the sun will at that point change sign into Capricorn. But in Sag energy, like I say, it's expansive, it's big, and it's also very wisdom and philosophy seeking. So, a good way to temper these energies and be mindful of how we're navigating Sag season is, it's a big spending time potentially, and we see that, don't we? And so one of the ways we can utilize that is maybe keeping a bit more of a grounded approach as best as we can in the run up to Christmas. And for some of us that can be tricky, because Sag energy, it's a fire sign, it's upwards, it's big moving, it's broad reaching, and it likes to aim high. The Sagittarius is depicted in the zodiac by the glyph of the archer. So we have the half man, half horse drawing back the bow and arrow and aiming for the stars. And it that does really give us an indication of the nature of Sagittarius season. It's expansive, and it's also hugely optimistic, and it likes big gestures and big energies, and can be a little on the grandiose side, which is all the fun and all the adventure of Sag, and we love that. But we also remember to keep our feet on the ground as well, perhaps, is a good way to utilize it. So another aspect of Sag energy that we have as well is Mars is in Sag, and we have Mars in Sag. It's making a conjunction to the sun. So a conjunction is when two planetary bodies are close together. So they are really, the two energies of those planets are really blended, and that makes an impact on their two energies. So the sun being our vitality, our life force, it's how we shine. With Mars is our directive kind of animal passions, more war, survival. It's our warrior energy, actually, Mars. So we've got this fairly wide now conjunction at 4 degrees, and it is actually separating as well. So over the week between the 1st and the 2nd, that will be knocking off slightly. But we do have this conjunction at the moment of increased vitality, increased energy in the sign of Sag. Now, the contradiction to that, and this is one of the things I absolutely love about astrology, is, people say, well, how can we be all fitting into one of the 12 boxes of the zodiac sign? And of course, we can't. we're too complex, we're full of contradictions and full of unique personality traits, and many of them. And that really, to me, is depicted very well as an interpretation from the astrology birth chart, because we are so much more than just our sun. As I was saying, it's a great place to start when thinking about influences from the zodiac in the sky for us as a collective, and as a personal view of our own personal birth charts. But we also have all these other planetary bodies making an influence and an impact. So the impact from Mars is knocking off, but we currently have this increased bit of energy and action from Mars, the warrior, in Sag. So again, it's broad, it's bold thinking, it's big thinking with Sag and Mars together. And we have a little contradiction to this. We have Saturn squaring Mars in Pisces. And so Saturn is our it's our long-term learning, it's responsibilities, it's boundaries. It's a good premise in astrology to make friends with our Saturn, because we can find Saturn as a bit of a dampener on spirits, and certainly with the Sagittarius mix that we have here with the square aspect to Saturn, which the square is about requiring some challenge. We have this mix of, what can feel like a little bit of a dampener on spirits. However, we also need sometimes to keep our feet on the ground, as we were discussing with Sag energy particularly. So we like to welcome our Saturn and, but again, best utilize it with thinking about where we do need boundaries, where we do need that safety, where things do show up in our lives for longer term learning and lessons, and, the things we need to keep us feeling safe, but also developing and growing as people. So that is Saturn squaring Mars. Saturn, interestingly, this year has gone into Pisces. Now, again, we've got a contradiction here with Saturn, as I mentioned, being very, thorough, and it's disciplinary. It's, the responsibilities and the boundaries. And in the sign of Pisces is very, very different to that. So we have another real combination of energies here. And Saturn went into Pisces this year in March, and it'll be around for, until 2026. So this is a longer term influence. But with Saturn in Pisces, we have more of a view collectively of our, roles and responsibilities. But amongst that, how we have that kind of structure in the idealism and the illusions that are going on out there. So, Pisces is very idealistic, and it can be very unboundaried, actually. And so with Saturn in that sign, it's giving us a real opportunity to look at how we're strengthening our boundaries, look at how we're navigating what's going on in the world, looking at how we're seeing through the illusions, actually, of what's going on in the world, and oftentimes. And also, it can be a reevaluation of our faith. That can be another aspect of Saturn in Pisces. So that's just a little aspect that's going on a slightly longer term level. We've also got Mercury going into Capricorn today. So on the 1st of December, the planet of Mercury, which is our communication planet, it's our mental energy, it's thoughts, ideas, media, all of the things that are kind of for us speaking our voice, speaking our truth, navigating how we think and feel. It can be good at looking at limiting beliefs, that kind of thing, the thoughts we might have tinkering around. And with it changing sign, we feel that quite strongly on the first day or so that it moves into the sign, particularly that initial cusp period. And so with Mercury moving into Capricorn, we've got an opportunity for like a steadfast, more mindful, cautionary perhaps approach to how we're making plans, thinking about ideas and plans that we want to put into practice. And Capricorn's a really beautiful energy for making plans and getting them done and achieving them, but it certainly doesn't have to rush into them. It's very steadfast and determined, and it absolutely will find a way to get those things done. If you think about the mountain goat, sidewinding up the mountain. It doesn't matter how long it takes to get there or how it actually accesses the top of the mountain, but it will get there. And with Mercury going into that sign today, we've got an opportunity to look at how we're maybe planning and how we can utilize those kind of energies in our mental focuses. So that's a great energy to influence. We also have the aspect of just checking that I'm not missing anything important. We've got Venus currently in Libra. Now, Venus as a planet, it's our love planet. It's the planet of beauty and values. It's how we navigate relationships. It's a beautiful feminine aspect and an energy. And we all, of course, have all of these aspects within us. And Venus in Libra, it's been very happy in that sign. It's Libra is very harmonious, and it's how we, see the fair and the just in situations. But Libra is actually Venus is actually moving out of Libra on the 5th and into Scorpio, and that marks quite a change on the 5th in terms of our Venusian energy. And Scorpio energy is much more deep and intense, and really lends itself well to getting sort of down and dirty in the nitty gritty and processing issues and transcending them ultimately for the highest good. That's the very highest aspect of Scorpio energy is really, it's really the alchemist. And so we may be given an opportunity from the 5th to really look at how we're navigating in our relationships. Scorpio can lend itself to the mysteries as well, the mysterious energy and secrecy, and that kind of air because of those emotional depths. So it's really, we might start thinking about how we're navigating our emotional depths with Venus coming into Scorpio on the 5th. So the sun is this week's topic, and it's, as I was saying, the best place to start with our astrology chart, both personally and collectively. So we discussed earlier that the sun being in Sagittarius is a gregarious time. It's a sociable time. It's an expansive time. And that's depicted in the energy kind of currently overall, the utilizing of that collective energy. But with the sun in our own zodiac sign, it's the premise in astrology is really the sun is our vitality. It's our life force. It's who we've come here to be. And often you hear old adages such as, go to the light and, who we've come here to be, to shine, and those kind of references. And that is really, we can take a lot of interpretation from our sun signs in our chart. And as I was saying earlier, but there's so much more to us as well. So the sun is really about often learning over a lifetime of how to be our sun signs. The other ideas in astrology suggest that we come in with a lot of subconscious information, a lot of karmic information, from the moon, our subconscious, and from the south node is often, in reference to lots of karmic energy. And so we come in with all of these aspects of really the snapshot of the sky at the time, the moment you were born. And we often all know our sun sign, but we don't always know the rest of our chart. And so we start with the sun, and it can really give us a good sort of indicator on the sort of flavors of our life really over the course of it, and how we might develop as people and the things that are really important to us. And the sun is also really a lot about our essence, who we sort of truly are, what makes us tick, that real sort of, deep core level as a personality trait. But as I mentioned earlier, we can have these real strong contradictions because I'll give you a personal example. So my sun sign is Cancer. It's a water sign. It can be very nurturing, very homely. It can be a bit shy, and it's got this real homely aspect to it. But my Sagittarius moon is very different, however. And, as we discussed about Sag earlier, it's, the fire sign, it's broad reaching, it wants to go on long haul traveling trips. It's all about global thinking and the big picture and big expansive ideas and wisdom. So you see these real two different aspects that are strong influences in my own chart, and you can start to see how we have these different interpretations of our personality and how they really uncannily fit into our day-to-day life. So I will leave you with that and the vitality of our sun sign. And so enjoy your sun sign and enjoy the positive aspects of it. And as always, we can utilize the best parts of our chart, if you like, and the best parts, the highest aspects, I like to think of it, in each of the zodiac signs. We all have traits, and all parts of the zodiac signs have, actually, in astrology, and I believe in sort of universal wisdom, it's not good and bad, it just is. And we as co-creators with the universe get to really, access and adopt the parts of ourselves that we want to bring out more of. And the beauty of a tool like astrology gives us a great look at how we can just get to know ourselves more. That's another thing I really love about astrology, is it's a really good tool to start to get to know yourself, and we can take the bits that resonate and disregard the bits that don't. And so the sun, when you're looking at your sun sign, it's great to look at all the features and see which ones you'd like to utilize more of. So have a wonderful week ahead. Enjoy the energies that we've talked about, and see where you can be mindful and just utilize the best energies you can for thriving. Much love.